Hi, welcome back. This week I thought I'd just show you the swing tool that I've made in order to polish the chronometer detent that I'm currently making. These tools are a traditional way of polishing a flat surface. So a lot of these sort of black polished flat surfaces that you see in something like a chronometer or in a high-end pocket watch, things like that, are done using a swing tool like this. So it's basically a clamp that you clamp the part in and sits between centres, and then you can sit it in your turns or lathe or whatever between centres, and it pivots, which means that when you're filing you can keep the file flat against the work, and it moves the whole swing tool to keep the part flat to the surface of the file. And the same goes with a polisher, so you can impart that lovely flat polish far more easily. When you're using other methods like a cork block or something like that to rest the part on, that's good. It works in a similar way. You can feel the flatness of the part, but you'll never get it quite as flat as with a swing tool like this. Traditionally, there were all kinds of different types. They were used for all kinds of components within a chronometer or a pocket watch, and they would mill the shape. This, you can see the sort of the profile of a detent in there, looking down on it from top view, just as an example. They would mill the shape that they wanted to clamp in or file it in, and then that enabled it to be clamped. On mine, I've not gone quite into that detail because I've used super glue. So that's the luxury that we've got these days, is being able to use super glue to hold the part while we're doing it. On a smaller component, I know George Daniels in his watchmaking book uses beeswax to hold a component to a cork block. And that can work, but on a slightly bigger component like this, there's a risk that the part could fly off that. So anyway, I'll bring you in for a closer look of that now. Right, so this is the swing tool. You can see it's between the centres of my turns, and you can see the detent here super glued into a milled brass block, which is here, and that brass block is clamped into the tool. I thought it would be easier to make the tool so that it can be used over and over again for different things. So all I've got to do is either modify this block or make another one for holding different components. And so you can see it's able to swing between the centres quite freely. And that means that when you put the flat of the file on at any angle you like, as soon as you apply the pressure, it pulls the part into flat and keeps the file flat. Now, can you see it moving as I'm moving the file around? Just to demonstrate, the swing tool pivots around with it, and that means that you can get a flat finish. It's pretty much the only way of doing it, or one of the only ways of doing it. It's quite important that the part is pivoting around the center of the center line running through the flat of the part that you want to file. So you can see the ends here are adjustable so that you can move the center points around, and that means you can center the part appropriately within the swing of the tool, if that makes sense. Here's another image from a book showing a chronometer detent between centres and a polisher being used, and that's part of the inspiration for this swing tool. I've just had a sticker through the post, and well, call it a sticker. It's an upgrade from a sticker, definitely. This is from Steve over at SGS Engineering on Instagram. Definitely worth checking out his work on his model engineering projects. He's got a traction engine on the go and a steam locomotive as well. So I really enjoy seeing what he's up to. Really high standard of model engineering work, it really is. And he makes all kinds of interesting jigs and fixtures 3D printed. And so his sticker has obviously been 3D printed as well. So yeah, it's a nice detail. So so thanks very much for that, Steve. That'll go up on the board now. I haven't forgotten the pocket watch project. I have just been so busy with other things, and will continue to be at the moment, that it's got a little bit sidelined, because this is just a watch for myself. So I've got to find the moment to do that. But you can see here the movement holder. This is actually an ancestral piece that has been in the family for generations. So it's nice to handle things that that people before me have handled. Gives you that connection. And also it's nice to be using a tool that is almost contemporary to the watch that I'm working on. So that's a nice extra bit, little feature. But yeah, this is the Verge pocket watch, and it's where we left off in the last update, actually, that I've plugged. You can't really see very well, but I've plugged the center because it was all out of kilter. And this is next step will be centering this up on the Chauvelin faceplate, and then re-drilling the center hole. But that will have to wait for another day, I'm afraid. Hopefully you'll be able to see the difference. It's a little bit difficult to come across in camera, but I've just spent probably a couple of hours actually working mainly on a file and with a degusset stone here, bringing this down to a sort of a grey finish. But you can see, hopefully it catches in the light, and you can tell the flatness of the part, and that's what we're trying to get at here. It's this part has still got to be hardened and tempered yet, so the polishing side of things will happen later. But I'm just bringing the part down to a good sort of starting point, if you like, to start polishing it from after the heat treatment. So you can see how the swing tool helps with that. Okay, just to demonstrate the blocks that I'm using as like super glue holders to put into the swing tool. This is obviously the detent, and this is the holder that I have been using. And you can see the way that it just drops in. I've just milled a recess to allow it to sit down flat. At the moment, the detent is completely flat on that side, so it doesn't need any sort of complicated recesses. But now I'm going to be machining going to be drilling the hole for the passing spring here, and I'm also going to be machining the thickness away for what's going to become the spring. So you can see that hasn't been done yet. So you can see the profile of it on that side. We've got the horn where my tweezers are holding it, and we've also got the boss for the locking stone, and then we've got the dovetail area at the back, the block. So all of those need a little bit of relief. So I just knocked together just squared up another little piece of brass to put in. So what I'll need to do is mark out where I'm going to mill, and I'm probably not going to mill a recess as such. I'm going to just machine the clearances away in this direction so that it can drop onto its various points. What I will do to sort of orientate the part is I will machine a flat probably here that the part can butt up against, but that will only be on this one here. this area. The rest will just be clearance straight the way through. So I'll go away and do that now and come back and show you that when it's done. Okay, so here's the one that you've already seen, which was milled and just to allow for the recess to super glue in the detent. And then this is the one that I've just knocked up to accept the detent the other way up. And this one I've done very slightly differently because I've put a clamp on it as well. But you can see it's milled so that the block at the back, which is the dovetailed section, has got space to sit, and also the all the horn at the front here has got space to be out of the way. It's not actually touching anything, so as long as that is not heavily worked on, it should be fine like that. It gives it a nice sort of ability to work on it without actually having to put too much stress on it. But I wouldn't want to do any filing on that like that. I'd want to actually chock it somehow underneath first. The actual part that this jig is for milling the spring away here. So this will be reducing the thickness here by around half of what it is currently, maybe even slightly more than that. So you can see I've just put a pen mark there. You'll be able to see the where the passing spring will be fitted here. So there's going to be a screw hole drilled and tapped in here, and then the passing spring will go there. That will be made of gold, and this will be relieved to just over half its thickness. So that's the little jig. The reason that I put the clamp in place is because I'm planning on actually milling the spring relief here with a small size end mill, and just not all the way through, but I'm going to take the bulk of the material off so that I can get a nice sort of parallel spring with it held in this jig, and on parallels in my ACR milling machine I should be able to get this reasonably parallel straight out of the box. And by putting a block on both sides like this, it means that the cutting forces of the milling operation won't try and flick the part out. When it was just super glued on like this, unless it was butted up against one of the edges, I found that the super glue alone on such a small part wasn't sufficient to actually withstand the milling forces, however light, and they tended to cause the part to flick out. It's interesting that the super glue seems to hold better over a larger surface area, so you would think that a small part would stick on better because it's smaller and lighter, but actually a bigger part tends to glue down harder. You can take bigger cuts with a bigger part simply because of the surface area, I believe. So that's why I added the clamp in here as well. Well, thank you very much for joining me on another little Workshop Wednesday vlog. I really appreciate your interest in these videos because it really helps to get the channel going, and it's nice to be able to sort of bring you along on the journey of making these parts for restoring something like the chronometer. And ultimately I'm going to be bringing you along for a detailed view of the big clock when I start making it, hopefully in not too distant future. So your watching these videos is actually helping me get to that point, so thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. A couple of little shout outs just before we end the video. You're familiar already with James Palmer, but he's just taken it up a notch on his channel. He's finished the restoration of his engine turning machine, and he's now moved on to the beginning of the production of his prototype for his wristwatch, his tourbillon wristwatch. And I have to say the work that he's doing is exquisite. So it's really worth checking out his channel. If you haven't already, head over to James's channel and have a look at him. The other one, obviously, that I like to shout out is Ruben. Ruben Shoots over on his channel. And again, he's taken it up a notch as well. He's currently been setting up his workshop, which he's been vlogging about, which is really interesting to see him setting up his watchmaking workshop. But he's now started production of a prototype for his first series wristwatch. So that's really exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing the finished result and seeing what his wristwatch looks like. The quality of the work that he's doing on his Tourbillon pocket watch, his Daniel's pocket watch, according to the watchmaking book, is just exquisite. So it says it all about what the quality of the wristwatches is going to be like as he gets going with them. So again, check him out. A new recommendation is Test of Time Horology. He's another colleague of mine. He's over in America, other side of the pond, and he's just started on YouTube. He's been posting a few videos onto his Facebook page, and I've been encouraging him to post over on YouTube because I think you'd really enjoy some of the things he's got to offer. So he's just started his channel, so he's only got 1 or 2 videos up at the moment, but he's going to be posting content of his work as a clock restorer, and he's a very talented clock restorer as well. He's actually made a couple of bespoke clocks, and his work is really exciting. Yeah, so again, check him out on all his details will be in the description with the others. So thanks again for joining me on this vlog, and I'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.